From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be heard on shortwave broadcast through the shortwave facilities of the United States Agency for Global Media or Voice of America on the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. I'm your host, Leo Magpayo, and this is Dateline Malacañang. After a brief break during Holy Week, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is back to work this Monday, April 6. The President will lead the oath-taking of the National Executive Officers of the Vice Mayors League of the Philippines, scheduled at 2:30 in the afternoon inside Malacañang Palace. Also expected to join the event are Executive Secretary Ralph Recto, Interior Secretary John Vic Rimulya, and other senior government officials. The ceremony underscores the national government's continued support for local officials and its commitment to strengthening coordination between national agencies and local government units. Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro noted that even while the President spent Holy Week in Ilocos Norte Province, he continued working, monitoring national developments, and issuing directives as needed.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. called on Filipinos to turn faith into action as the nation marks Easter Sunday. In his Easter message, the President said, "The celebration of Christ's resurrection is a powerful reminder that hope endures and renewal is always within reach." President Marcos said the empty tomb stands as a testament that life conquers death and hope prevails over despair. The chief executive urged Filipinos to go beyond reflection and live out the meaning of Easter through compassion, unity, and everyday acts of kindness. President Marcos encouraged the public to choose compassion over indifference and unity over division, saying every good deed becomes a spark of renewal for the country. The President called on the nation to rise with renewed purpose, unyielding hope, and a deep sense of responsibility for one another. Peace Advisor Carlito Galvez Jr. also released an Easter message, saying the resurrection is a reminder that God remains with His people even in the most difficult moments. Galvez said Easter embodies faith that endures hardship and embraces sacrifice, adding that forgiveness, reconciliation, and healing remain possible despite today's global challenges. He urged Filipinos to carry the message of hope by choosing compassion, offering forgiveness, and working together for lasting peace. Easter Sunday is one of the most significant Christian observances in the predominantly Catholic Philippines.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Sunday warned the public against fake news circulating online about the country's energy situation, saying those behind the post will face legal consequences. In a statement, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Acting Secretary Dave Gomez said, individuals who deliberately create and spread false information to exploit current energy challenges will be held accountable under the law. Gomez stressed that disinformation undermines public trust, destabilizes the economy, and threatens the welfare of every Filipino. The warning follows a viral post urging the public to stock up on power banks, solar equipment, candles, food, medicine, and water for an alleged energy lockdown starting April 20th. Another post claiming an emergency lockdown due to a so-called COVID-19 cicada variant also made the rounds, an assertion the Department of Health has already denied. Gomez reminded the public that publishing false news is punishable under Article 154 of the revised Penal Code, with penalties of up to 6 months in jail. When done online, penalties may be doubled under the Cybercrime Prevention Act. He said the government will have zero tolerance for those who spread falsehoods for personal or political gain, adding that any attempt to mislead the public about energy supply, pricing, or security will be treated as a serious offense. The PCO said it has intensified monitoring of social media platforms to detect and counter disinformation, particularly those that may cause panic or manipulate markets. This anti-fake news desk, working with the Department of Justice, is prepared to file charges against individuals found spreading deceptive information. This comes as President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has placed the country under a one-year state of national energy emergency amid global oil price volatility and tensions in the Middle East. The palace is urging Filipinos to rely only on verified information. Gomez appealed to social media users to think before sharing posts, saying unverified claims can cause real public harm.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang reaffirmed the Philippines' strong support for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN's collective efforts to restore peace and stability in Myanmar. Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro said the country's commitment remains firm despite recent changes in Myanmar's leadership, where Min Aung Hlaing was elected president. Castro emphasized that the Philippines continues to back ASEAN's implementation of the 5-point consensus, particularly efforts to halt violence, promote dialogue, and ensure the swift delivery of humanitarian assistance to the people of Myanmar. She added that the Philippines will maintain close coordination with relevant authorities and stakeholders in Myanmar through Foreign Affairs Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro, who serves as the ASEAN Special Envoy for Myanmar. This engagement aims to strengthen diplomatic channels and support regional initiatives toward a peaceful resolution of the crisis.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, 19 overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, and 1 dependent arrived safely in the Philippines on the evening of April 5th aboard Qatar Airways flight QR928. The aircraft landed at Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA Terminal 3, as part of the government's ongoing repatriation efforts for Filipinos affected by the unrest in the Middle East. The returnees were warmly welcomed upon arrival, many of them expressing gratitude for their safe journey home. Immediately after landing, they received assistance under the Post-Repatriation Services Program, including financial aid from the Department of Migrant Workers or DMW and Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA, as well as medical support from the Manila International Airport Authority or MIA medical team. OWA also provided meals, transportation, plane tickets to their home provinces, and temporary hotel accommodations while their onward travel arrangements were being finalized. The OFWs were encouraged to coordinate with DMW, OWA, Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE, Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or TESDA, and the Department of Trade and Industry or DTI for additional support such as skills training, livelihood programs, and job placement to help them rebuild their lives. This repatriation initiative follows the directive of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. to ensure the safe return and continued assistance for OFWs affected by the crisis in the Middle East.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, another 21 Filipinos have returned to the country after choosing to come home amid the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. They arrived last evening aboard Qatar Airways flight QR928, which landed at NAIA Terminal 3 shortly after 10 in the evening. The group includes 19 overseas Filipino workers or OFWs and one dependent who availed the government's repatriation program. Just this Black Saturday, 67 Filipinos from Qatar also returned, composed of 54 OFWs and 13 dependents. In total, 564 OFWs have now been repatriated from Qatar in line with the directive of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. to ensure the safe and orderly return of Filipinos affected by the Middle East crisis.
Dateline Malacañang.
A passenger vessel ran aground off Lubang, Occidental Mindoro Province on Easter Sunday morning, prompting a swift rescue operation by the Philippine Coast Guard or PCG. All 162 passengers and 8 crew members of MV Our Lady of Fatima III were safely rescued after the vessel became stuck about 670 meters from the shoreline of Tilik Town at around 7:45 in the morning. PCG spokesperson Commodore Noemi Kayabyab said, Coast Guard personnel noticed the vessel suddenly stopped shortly after leaving Tilik Port of Nasugbu. Initial coordination with the captain revealed that the grounding was caused by low tide conditions over a rocky seabed, a known hazard in the area's shallow coastal waters. Lubang, a remote island municipality, serves as a vital sea link between Mindoro and Batangas. Its ports accommodate small passenger vessels that often navigate shallow waters that can quickly become risky during low tide. The PCG reported that sea conditions were calm to moderate at the time. The vessel was operating within its authorized capacity and carried 250 liters of marine diesel oil and 45 liters of lube oil with no cargo on board. By 8:40, rescuers began transferring passengers to MV Princess Christine II, which safely brought them back to Tilik Port by 9:20 in the morning. A joint assessment confirmed that the vessel was partially grounded in a shallow area, but no oil sheen or signs of marine pollution were detected. The grounding site was also found to be outside a marine protected area, easing concerns about environmental damage. The vessel's captain has been advised to file a marine protest, while the crew will conduct an underwater inspection to check for structural damage. Meanwhile, the Coast Guard station in Occidental Mindoro has recommended the Maritime Industry Authority, or Marina Regional Office 4, suspend the vessel's passenger ship safety certificate pending a full investigation.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippine government is rolling out additional assistance for overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, affected by rising tensions in the Middle East. The Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, or DSUD, has announced a new benefit package for repatriated OFWs who are members of the Pag-IBIG Fund. Under the special program, qualified OFWs will now be allowed to withdraw up to 100% of their Pag-IBIG regular savings, including their employee share, employer counterpart, dividends, and even their MP2 savings regardless of maturity. They may also avail of a 3-month moratorium on their housing loan payments, with no interest, no penalties, and no additional charges. DSUD Secretary Jose Ramon Aliling said the assistance aims to help returning OFWs recover quickly and meet the immediate needs of their families as they rebuild their lives back home. Pag-IBIG has assured the public that applications will be fast, convenient, and accessible through its online platform, the virtual Pag-IBIG, as well as branches nationwide. According to Pag-IBIG data, the agency has 891,427 registered OFW members in the Middle East, with the largest numbers coming from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Kuwait.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service can be heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. Radyo Pilipinas World Service is also live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.